This is Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York's 14th District. As you may know, the Congresswoman introduced House Resolution 109, recognizing the duty of the federal government to create a Green New Deal. The Green New Deal would offer a federal jobs guarantee, free higher education, free high-quality healthcare, and a transition to 100% clean energy from zero-emission energy sources. On Meet the Press Daily, AOC talked about the role of young people in the Green New Deal movement.
Like all big movement moments in American history, young people are putting the gas in the tank to really accelerate our timelines on reaching our goals.
Gas in the tank? Strange choice of words considering that the goal is to transition off of fossil fuels, but whatever.
Young people are putting the gas in the tank.
But seriously, under the Green New Deal, all vehicles in the United States would need to be replaced with all electric vehicles within 10 years. Now, I'm not against electric vehicles, I think they're pretty cool, but let's see how it would affect the Congresswoman's constituents here in New York City. Currently, there are over 2.1 million vehicles registered in New York City with the Department of Motor Vehicles, and the cost to replace them all would be staggering to consumers and businesses. For example, if you took the 1.9 million registered passenger vehicles and replaced them all with, say, the Nissan Leaf, which has an MSRP of $29,990, consumers would have to spend $57.6 billion. But it's okay, because the government is going to give you tax credits. Thanks to the New York State Drive Clean rebate, when you buy an electric vehicle, you get a tax credit of $2,000. This in turn will cost the state $3.8 billion, not to mention the federal electric vehicle tax credit, which will cost the US government $14.4 billion. And that's just for the cars in New York City. But once you have an electric vehicle, you'll face a small issue: charging it. While vehicles that run on gasoline can be fueled up within a few minutes, electric vehicles can take hours to fully charge the battery. As an example, the Nissan Leaf takes 7 hours with a 240-volt home charging station. And unlike suburbia, most people who own a car in a city don't have access to a garage or driveway. They'll have to park on the street. So how do you charge all these cars? Does that mean installing chargers every 15 feet on every single block in New York City? Or maybe AOC thinks that people can just take extension cords and hang them out of their windows, I don't know. But you know what? It's fine. If the Green New Deal is initiated, we have until 2030 to figure it all out. In the meantime, AOC has more pressing issues to deal with.
I can be upset that I get 10 plastic bags at the grocery store and then have to toss out my plastic bags because the recycling program in the area is tough, and that's okay.
Let me get this straight. She's upset that the store gives her plastic bags to carry her groceries home. However, she doesn't need to take those plastic bags at all. She can bring a tote bag to the grocery store. Need more than one tote bag for your items? Stuff a bunch of other tote bags into a tote bag. And it's a safe bet that she has a couple of these lying around. Then she complains that she has to throw out her plastic bags because recycling is tough in her area, but what she could do instead is take a plastic bag and put a whole bunch of other plastic bags in that bag and then reuse those bags at the grocery store. But all that would take a minimum amount of effort.
What we need to realize is that climate change is about every choice that we make in our lives.
Which is why you would think that the Congresswoman would want to lower her carbon footprint and take the train between Washington, D.C. and New York City instead of flying.
Can you tell me why you were flying today?
Oh yeah, because I needed to go to work.
All right, and then what is the difference between you taking a flight and a train, though?
Excuse me, sir.
A couple hours of my constituents' time.
I guess convenience is more important than leading by example. Oh look, she can take a tote bag on a plane, but not to the supermarket. And as far as saving a couple of hours of her constituents' time, that's debatable. The Acela from Washington, D.C. to New York's Penn Station is on average a 2-hour and 45-minute trip. And while a flight only takes 1 hour and 15 minutes, you have to factor in getting to the airport early to check in, going through security, the time it takes for the plane to board and deboard, the walk through the airport, and the time waiting for your luggage. At best, she might be saving a couple of minutes, but definitely not a couple of hours. And if she is so concerned about not wasting her constituents' time, then why is she spending so much of it on late night television or giving talks at events?
I'm the boss.
That's
How about that?
You heard it here.
I mean, it's certainly helping her brand, but how is this serving anyone but herself? So back in March 2018, there was a community board meeting in Queens where about 100 activists and residents came out in opposition of a real estate development that would house a small format Target location and 120 apartment units. And one of the people in opposition of the development was then congressional candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
We have an affordability crisis. We have an income inequality crisis. We have an immigrant security crisis. And we have a homelessness crisis in this city. And this development hurts all of those things. It makes all of those things worse. One, affordability. These units are not affordable, and we know that.
As many as 36 of the units in the building were allocated to be affordable housing. And to qualify, your household would need to be making around 80% of the area's median income of around $44,000 a year. And remember, this is the entire household, not necessarily just one person. So if a husband and wife had a combined income of $35,200, they would be eligible for a unit that cost an estimated $850 a month. But for AOC, $850 a month in one of the largest cities in the world isn't affordable, but forcing every New Yorker to buy a new car, well, that's not an issue.
It's an immigrant security crisis. In an age of DACA going away, TPS going away, ICE raids on every single one of our subway stops, family-owned businesses are often the only security and safe haven for these families and for these communities. This development will eviscerate that area of security.
So let me get this straight. If the small format Target location comes to the area, it will force small businesses to shut down, and then illegal immigrants won't have a public place to hide from ICE. If anything, that would be a plus. But consider that the area for the proposed Target is surrounded by 100 other retail shops, including large companies like The Gap, Old Navy, Starbucks, Foot Locker, and a ton of smaller local businesses, including whatever the hell kind of shop this is. So an argument can be made that building a Target on an empty lot in an area already filled with retail shops isn't going to eviscerate anything. For example, did this large Duane Reade eviscerate this small pharmacia 100 feet away? Or this one, which is a block away? Nope. They all exist next to each other. Plus, a new Target would provide around 100 jobs to the area, which would bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars in state and local income tax. But that's not as important as giving sanctuary to non-tax-paying illegal immigrants.
Homelessness is at an all-time high. We're at 60,000 people without homes every single night in New York City, and that is directly correlated to the rise in cost of housing.
For fiscal year 2019, New York City spent nearly $3 billion on homeless services. And according to the New York City Department of Homeless Services, only 5% of the city's homeless are unsheltered, which is one of the lowest rates in the United States. In other words, 95% of the homeless are being housed indoors, the majority in hotel rooms and private apartments, like at this shelter and long-term housing facility in the Bronx. Of course, not every place is this nice, but being inside is a lot better than living out on the street.
But we need to have the courage. We need to have the courage to say, no, I urge you, please deny this proposal. Thank you very much.
So thanks to AOC and the other activists, the plans for the apartment complex were scrapped, including all 36 units of cheap housing. Good job, guys. And while the Congresswoman tweets about kicking luxury real estate lobbyists to the curb, her residence in Washington, D.C. is located in a luxury apartment complex, which includes a rooftop infinity pool, Peloton cycling studio, and a fireside lounge with a player piano. But most notably, there is no affordable housing.
Since we're always working, I got a place within walking distance.
Remember, folks, going against your principles is okay, as long as you have a good reason. Thanks for watching, sharing, and hitting that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Check out the links in the description, and check out these videos that you may have missed. As always, I hope to see you next time.